Welcome back, everybody. Let's continue. Let's look at another device we can use to analyze works, and it is allusion. First thing, note the spelling, Allusion. Don't confuse allusion with illusion. Illusion involves magic. That's what a magician does to create that sleight of hand, right? Illusion is when things aren't as they seem to be, when it's not really there. Nor should we confuse allusion with alluding. That's when someone gives hints. For example, an example of alluding, when our daughters were of the age in which they believed in Santa Claus, what would happen? Christmas morning, we would say, "Did you hear the sound of reindeer hooves on the roof? Did you hear someone say ho, ho, ho in the middle of the night?" Or on Easter morning, we would say, "Did you see a rabbit hop through the house this morning?" What are we doing? We're giving hints about Christmas, right, about Santa Claus, or about the Easter Bunny. That's alluding. Please don't confuse these two with allusion. So what is allusion? That's when a literary work makes a reference, and that reference could be to many different things: person, place, event, or even another literary work. And oftentimes, allusions that involve other literary works involve mythology, such as Greek mythology. That often happens. Now, what the reader has to do, the reader has to make that connection between the reference and that work at hand, and make the connection, and then transfer everything from one to the other. Now, if the reader doesn't get that reference, if the reader doesn't get it, then the meaning that the artist is trying to communicate goes like this. It just goes straight past, and then the reader's like, I just don't get it. So, for example, if I was to say, 77 years ago today, our forefathers, ... Of course, what is that? That is the beginning to Abraham Lincoln's Gettysburg Address that he made after the Battle of Gettysburg at Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, which was one of the turning points of the American Civil War. So when you hear that, right, if you were to hear that being referenced in a work, right, so it could be a work of literature, it could even be a movie. So then what happens, you're expected to make that connection and transfer all of that from one to the other. If you're unable to do that, right, if you're not familiar with Abraham Lincoln or American history, if you've never heard or read the Gettysburg Address, then you're going to miss that. So what happens with allusion is that it often involves the responsibility of the audience, of the reader, to do some research, right? So the probing there would be some research. There might be a place that's being mentioned or an event, and you're left, well, I don't know what that is. So you might have to do a quick Google search on it, and then jot down some notes about it, and then continue through the work as you start to build and build and build. And then once you get all of those notes, you're going to get the sum, the impact that that artist, the writer, the poet, the playwright is working with to try to communicate that thing which is greater. So allusion, again, we don't want to confuse with illusion or alluding. And yes, it is going to involve some legwork on behalf of the reader to get in there and get things uncovered. So we still have some more devices to look at and talk about, and we'll continue to do so in the coming lectures.